Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The seasoned contender Luiz Ortiz has rocketed up the WBA rankings, now in number 2 position, and that's up 5 spots from a month ago when he was number 7, and climbing to number 2 despite only less than a round of action since 2019 when he lost to Deontay Wilder for the second time. That one round, or should I say less than one round, was against Alexander Flores, who fell over in about 45 seconds in strange circumstances when he did face Ortiz. So many will be questioning, what's going on here? What is going to happen with Luiz Ortiz? Who is he going to fight? Well, it's not going to be Alexander Usyk, who's above him. As we know, Usyk is a mandatory challenger in the WBO, so likely to fall out of these rankings when that fight with Anthony Joshua is confirmed. But behind Ortiz is Andy Ruiz Jr. So he is up a couple of spots. He recently fought and beat Chris Arreola, and that's actually the irony of the situation. He actually fought recently, so shouldn't he be climbing ahead of Ortiz, not the other way around? But it's the WBA, it pays not to overthink these things because they move in mysterious ways, and sometimes corrupt ways, I'm sure, too. But Andy Ruiz Jr., Luiz Ortiz, that is a fight within the PBC stable that has been talked about. Andy Ruiz Jr. said he would only fight Luiz Ortiz once he had a tune-up, and that tune-up was Chris Arreola a little while ago. So there could be two things going on here, that this fight is going to happen at some point later in 2021, Ortiz and Ruiz. It's a very good fight. I think a lot of people would like to see it. But also, I think what's also likely is, with them being at number 2 and number 3 at this point, I think that will be ordered as a final eliminator to the Super Champions belt. At the moment, the belt is held by Anthony Joshua. Haven't had a mandatory in a couple of years now, so it is one of those situations where it is due. The WBA, with their whole sort of super belt and the screeds of other belts, they do give the champion a little bit of leeway, 18 months between mandatories, and we're well past that at this point. A year or so ago, it looked like they were trying to line Adam Kovnarski up to be that mandatory, but then he lost to Robert Helenius. Helenius gets some sort of bonus prize in the gold title. But Ortiz and Ruiz, I think that will happen, and I think it will be ordered for the WBA mandatory. Totally see that happening. I think that's where we're headed now with these movements here in these latest rankings. So don't be surprised if in the next month or two you actually see some movement towards that fight being a bit more buzz and it getting made, and then all of a sudden the mandatory status being on the line as a final eliminator. At number 4, you have Bogdan Dinu. So he's just lost to Daniel Dubois, so no doubt he will be dipping out, and Daniel Dubois probably leaping up a few spots. Number 5, you have Deontay Wilder. And while that fight with Tyson Fury, it's been talked about for July 24th, not officially announced. So I do think that once it is, Deontay Wilder, like Alexander Usyk above him, because they'll be in other title fights, they will drop out of these rankings. At number 7, you have Michael Hunter. He's down a spot this month. He will be facing Mike Wilson, who's further down these rankings on the Triller card, June 19th. That's the undercard of Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos. Ajit Kabial is at number 8 spot this month. He's up a couple of places, and this follows beating Kevin Johnson. Adam Kovnarski, he's actually down a spot to 9. Daniel Dubois, he's just beaten Dinu, and that was in 2 rounds. Likely he will go up 2 or 3 places in the next month. An inclusion in this month's rankings, coming in fresh at number 11 here, is another PBC heavyweight, Michael Coffey. Michael Polite Coffey, the full name. So coming in at 11, is this indicative that he's going to be fighting soon, but also someone within this list? Well, it's a possibility. And with Ali Aaron Demirjian also coming in, so he's into the rankings at 12, possibly it could be Demirjian. And Demirjian has fought PBC heavyweights before. A couple of years ago when F.I. Ajagba was with the PBC, Demirjian had a fight with Ajagba. So maybe Coffey and Demirjian, and that's not a bad fight for Michael Coffey from where he's been fighting. Demirjian is tough and durable. That could go some rounds, could be very entertaining. Demirjian likes to fight, doesn't have massive pop, but he comes to give it a go. At number 13, you have Mike Wilson, down a spot this month. He will be facing Michael Hunter, as I already mentioned. He was drafted in solely for the purposes of fighting Michael Hunter. It is a mismatch. He's a cruiserweight. He has no business being in these rankings at all. Number 14, Frank Sanchez-Fouré, and 15, Zan Kossobutski, so no change for both of those since last month. And also, before I go, I would note as well the IBF rankings have come out. The real one thing of note in them, Michael Hunter not on this list. So a month ago he was dropped from 4th to 11th for ducking Filip Hrgovic in that final eliminator, which went to a purse bid. And this month he's out altogether. So Michael Hunter, the fall from the IBF rankings is complete. But Luiz Ortiz up 7 places this month. The big benefactor, Andy Ruiz Jr, up a couple of spots to number 3. Does look like they will fight number 2 and number 3 respectively. And I think it probably will be a final eliminator for the mandatory status. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.